Hi friends! In this video we will learn how to create dynamic SQL queries in Spring Boot with Spring Data JPA. I will use a project I created for this tutorial. You can find it on GitHub. It is a minimalistic bookshop application. The main entity class is book, and we also have some auxiliary classes such as category, format, and language. We also have the book repository and book service. Okay, so in a real-world bookshop application, we will have multiple filters that users apply to find the book they need. But we don't want to write separate queries for various combinations of these filters, right? This is where dynamic SQL queries come into play. As the name suggests, they enable us to create SQL queries dynamically based on the user input. And to build dynamic SQL queries with the JPA, we can use the specification interface. It can help us build multiple predicates over the entity. These predicates can be combined to create queries with flexible where clauses. Alright, to make use of JPA specification, let's make our book repository interface extend the JPA specification executor. Here it is. So our book repository extends the JPA repository and the specification too. Okay, so now we need to create a specification class, new Java class, and let's call it book specification. Here we will create our filters. So these are going to be our custom specifications. Alright, let's start with the first method. Let's define the filter for category. Okay, so we need to return the specification for book, that's our entity class, and let's call this method has a category name. And we are passing to it the string with the name of the category. Alright, and now let's write a return statement. So we need to return the root, which is our book, query, and criteria builder. Alright, so and the criteria builder is the most important part. Criteria builder has numerous methods, so we need equal, and here we are passing the root, which is our book, and we are getting the category, and we are also getting the name of the category, and it's going to be our return parameter. Alright, so we have the field category in the book entity, here it is, and the category has the name, here it is too, right? So we are extracting the category and then we are extracting the name of the category, right, that we are looking for. And this is going to be our filter. So that's pretty much it. But in most cases we will need several filters, right, not just one, so let's add additional filters. Okay, so we are going to create a price filter, the language filter, and the format filter. So let's start with the price, public static specification book, and let's call this method has price less than or equal to. And we are passing the price. And here we are pretty much doing the same, right? But this time we are looking for the price field in the root and returning the value. And we also need another method for criteria builder, and that is less than or equal to. Here it is. And now again we are passing our root and we are getting the price field. Note that we are using strings in the case of category, the price, the name, and that's one way to go, but it's not really safe, because if the names of the fields are going to be changed, then the specification is going to be broken. So, in this case, instead of passing the strings, you can use the JPA static model generator to create type-safe queries. But let's keep it simple in this demo. Right, so this method is ready, and 2 more to go. Alright, our filters are ready. We have 4 of them, and now let's go to our book service. And here we are going to write a method for finding the books in the repository based on the filters. So there can be none of them applied, some of them, or all of them, right? And the best part is that we need only one method to cover all of these use cases. Alright, so we are passing the string category name, right? String language name, string format, and also the price. So here we create a specification for book, let's call it spec, and we pass null as a parameter to the where method. We need that in case there are no filters applied by the users. So in this case, our specification is going to be empty. And then we check each pass parameter for null and add it to the specification, calling the book specification class and its corresponding method. And we add it, of course, if it's not null. Alright, let's deal with category first. If it's not null, then we are adding it to the spec with the AND method. And within, we are calling the book specification that we created recently and its method for category. And we are passing the category name. And that's pretty much it. Let's do the same for the remaining 3 filters. Alright, and in the end we are returning the list of the books. And the method is pretty straightforward, that's just book repository find all, and we are passing the specification here, that's important, right? So if the specification is empty, then we are going to return the list of all books in the repository, or else, if there are some filters applied, then we are going to filter them and return the list with the filtered entities. Great, it's time to test it. Let's go to the book service test. I have already written some tests to accelerate the demo. Right, so let me just tell you what's happening here. We are using the H2 database, so the setup is pretty simple. First of all, we are finding all books by category, right, and we're passing nulls for other filters. And here it is the data SQL file with some entities, right? Then we are finding the books by category and format, right? Then category and language, category and language and format, right? So we are trying different combinations here. And finally, we are passing all 4 filters. And then it's very important to check that if there are no matches, then the empty list is returned, right? That there are no errors. And finally, the implementation should find all books if no filters were passed. So, right, you can see that there are nulls everywhere, and we're expecting 15. Let's run the tests. All tests have passed. We did a good job. And that's how we create dynamic SQL queries in Spring Boot. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and until next time.